I'm Seth Kaye from Seth Kaye Photography in Chicopee, Massachusetts, and here are a few tips on how to properly expose a photograph. For this example, I have a digital SLR and a wide-angle lens, though these principles will apply to any digital or film camera and most small point-and-shoots. When people begin taking pictures, they very often put the camera in P mode, which is an auto mode, which will serve you well in most situations. But if you really want control over the image, you have to go into some of the other modes, usually manual mode. Using manual mode enables you to get the most control over an image that you can. It enables you to control every aspect of the image. The aperture refers to the size of the hole that allows light into that box, and that's controlled by the lens. The different numbers on the lens correspond to different amounts of light that are let into the lens. The lower the number, the more light comes into the lens. The second characteristic in exposing a photograph is shutter speed, and that determines the amount of time that the hole allows light into the box. The faster the shutter speed, characterized by larger numbers on your LCD display, allow less light into the camera, making the image darker. On the other hand, lower numbers on the LCD are characteristic of a longer shutter speed, which allows more light into the camera, allowing for a brighter image. The third characteristic is ISO, which is the characteristic of the sensitivity of the sensor inside the camera. A lower ISO, 100 for example, is used when there's a lot of ambient light, whether inside or outside. A higher ISO, on the other hand, 800 or above for example, is used when there's less light in the room. It makes the sensor inside the camera more sensitive to that light, enabling you to capture an image. The trade-off, however, is that the image tends to get a little noisier. On smaller prints, if you're printing them, for example, very often that noise won't show up, but it's something to be aware of if you are going at much higher ISOs than you're used to. It's the push and pull between these three aspects, the aperture, the shutter speed, and the ISO, that enable you to properly expose your photograph. Since every camera and lens combination is a little bit different, you'll need to experiment on your own to make a proper exposure for the photographs that you're making. These have been a few tips on how to properly expose a photograph.